The K-Lair restaurant, most famously called the K-Lair, is one of the very popular restaurants that many students and longtime graduates visit every single day. It's located in the heart of the University of Kentucky, right across from the Willie T. Library at 348 Hilltop Avenue. Since it's housed on the first floor of Hagen Hall, it's become a very convenient spot for many students who live nearby to dine there more often than not. Its all-American menu options have been a tradition ever since the restaurant opened 65 years ago in 1951. As I entered the K-Lair, the first thing I noticed was the number of television screens they had placed all over the restaurant, probably more than I could count. I was also surprised to see how crowded this place was. Some people were hanging out and socializing, while others tried to get work done as they enjoyed one of the K-Lair's dining options. In addition, the line to order food was so long and time-consuming that I didn't bother to wait. So I wondered, does the K-Lair lose some of its business due to the long wait times and poor staffing of the register? Do these conditions upset customers who are in line waiting to order food? I also notice how tired and frustrating the sole cashier who's working becomes as she works the register and calls out names for people to come get their foods. Indeed, this made me realize that the K-Lair has some staffing issues and trouble keeping up with customers' high demand. In order to gain more insight on the K-Lair, I interviewed a sophomore student, Will Eubanks, who was sitting down at one of the booths on his opinion of the K-Lair. Hey, my name is Joe Hodge, and I'm making this podcast as a project for my Word 110 class. Can I ask you some questions about the K-Lair?
Yeah, sure, man. What do you want to know?
Will came into the K-Lair to grab a quick buck, but most importantly, to work on his analytical chemistry lab report. So what are you doing on your computer, man?
I'm just working on my lab report for analytical chem.
Do you like working and finishing your homework at the K-Lair?
Yeah, I mean, the food's okay. It's a little bit greasy, but I guess that's to be expected. The biggest issue for me is the really long wait in line. I usually end up waiting longer in line to order than it actually takes for them to make my food and call my name.
In comparison to my experience, Will also had an issue with the long lines of the K-Lair. After Will's interview, I questioned more students who had already gotten their food and sat down. At the K-Lair, I ran into Harry Strickland, who was sitting down with his friend, James Flegg. Hey, how's it going, guys? Can I ask you guys some questions about the K-Lair?
Yeah, what's up, man?
James and Harry are two freshman students who just attended a Calculus 3 lecture and decided to come to the K-Lair in order to grab a quick bite. So what brings you guys to the K-Lair today?
I came here with my friend from Calc 3. We just finished a lecture and we just wanted to eat.
So is the quality of service here good today?
Well,
my next class is in 45 minutes all the way across campus. And when we're here and the line goes slower than I think it will, then I have to rush to my next class, and that's insanely frustrating.
Has this prevented you guys from coming here more often than not?
well, I mean, on a good day, I will come here because, if the lines are short, it'll take me less time to get my food.
And you, James?
Yeah, I agree. I can only come at times other than meal times, so not during lunch or dinner, and definitely not during the evening meal swipe from 10 to 12.
James brought up a good point. The lines at the K-Lair at different times around the day have discouraged others like me from coming to the restaurant to eat. Do you guys know what the K-Lair should do in order to resolve these issues?
Well, I mean, it's pretty obvious that they should hire more people to work on the cash register. That is the only way that they're gonna really fix the problem.
James and Harry also believe that the K-Lair should hire more people in order to make the line move much faster. Instead of one person taking over responsibility for 20 to 30 people, the K-Lair could gain more profit by adding an additional cashier and therefore attracting more customers. As I spent more time at the K-Lair, the line to order food got bigger and frustrating. I asked my brother, who was a graduate from the University of Kentucky in 2011, on his opinion, and he told me that the old K-Lair was much better than the new one they built in 2013. He explained that the old K-Lair had a much shorter line than the new one because the front desk had 2 to 3 cashiers at all times. In addition, he told me that the food tasted much better and some of the menu options were a lot cheaper back then. But anyways, whether the K-Lair realizes the problem or not, it's hurting their business. If they believe that they can remain understaffed while serving customers, then they are wrong. When I was at the K-Lair, I noticed that every 5 to 10 minutes, one person kept leaving the line. This definitely shows evidence that the K-Lair is losing business. As I left the restaurant, I was slightly confused why the K-Lair would risk its business by refusing to hire an additional person. Even though I weighed the risks and rewards, I couldn't find a reasonable explanation. However, I confronted one of the workers earlier on, and he told me that the company Airmark that was in charge of the day-to-day operations of the K-Lair was responsible for this business decision. Even though it wasn't a vivid explanation, I realized that not only did the customers who came into the K-Lair know that they had a staffing issue, but the workers knew just as well. In conclusion, the lines at the K-Lair are a disaster. Will waited longer in line to place an order than it actually took for them to make his food. James and Harry came into the K-Lair to grab some lunch, but because they waited so long in line, they had to rush to their next class after they ate. If the K-Lair wants to make a higher profit, then they should hire an additional cashier. At this moment, the sole cashier is tired of taking orders and calling out names to dozens of people. With an extra cashier in place, I am positive that he or she will be much happier to get the load off their shoulders.